In this soulful conversation, we'll be exploring love, vulnerability, and modern manhood with singer-songwriter and artist Johnny Drille, as well as creative consultant and music executive Alexander Ikemefuna. Together, we'll question what it really means for men to show up in relationships with truth and tenderness. You're welcome. Just want to have a nice conversation on men, relationships, marriage, dating, and all of that. But I always say to the viewers, this is not an interview. This is not a panel. It's just men having open, honest conversations. And you're welcome to listen in. As you can see, I have here with me Johnny Drille. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes, sir.
And of course, Alex. What do you guys want to drink first of all?
I'm good with water.
I like how you look.
Now I'm a friend. Now I'm a brother.
Alex, are you going to betray me?
I think I'll do some whiskey.
Some whiskey.
He looks like he'll do whiskey.
Why is it that one you're celebrating, Ebuka?
Because you are leaving me in the wilderness. And we get some whiskey. Welcome, Johnny Drille. How's music treating you, actually?
Good.
These days.
Good. Good so far. I mean, I was just talking to my dad yesterday because I was in Greece yesterday. Oh, wait, I'm not saying that to brag.
A way to start the show. Welcome back.
I wasn't saying that to brag. I was telling my dad, I'm just grateful that music is able to take me this far, to be able to see places that I never would have seen by myself, it's been good. Music has been kind to me.
Has it changed in any way since getting married? The
I
moving and, how you're able to...
So I think having people in my life, now that I have a daughter, of course, and my wife as well, it kind of...
Congrats, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You kind of now have to figure out ways to prioritize things and time management. I think that's the biggest way it's really affected because now my wife, she's just as busy as I am. So trying to figure out, okay, when do we have to be together? How do we be together at the same time for our kid? And if I'm away, how you are still around. So it's really just like time management, but I don't think much has changed in terms of like just music and my approach to making music.
How many years have you been married now?
This is a tricky question because I have to think about it so I don't mix it up. So I've been married since January of 2022. So this coming January will be 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. There's no mix-up then.
Yeah, no, I have to, because in my head sometimes I think January, we're planning for the wedding around December time. Is it December of 2021?
Before you go answer questions. But that leads me to my next question, which is, I guess, direct. Why did you get married? Because for artists, there's a belief that, you're busy, you're touring, family time becomes harder. Some people even think getting married distracts you from the music, or it takes away fans because a lot of your fans, especially the kind of music you do, are ladies, right? So why did you get married?
I think that I was at a point in my life where I needed that partnership. I don't think it was just enough to be dating someone that I loved. I wanted to be able to build a life with her, and at that point, I think I was at that point. And it's interesting because I don't think I was even financially ready to be married at the time.
But that's interesting.
That's
interesting.
It just felt right. At the same time, it's just also knowing that it's not just you in the marriage, it's also you and someone. You can decide to prolong that dating period for as long as you feel like you want to, but it's not just you that's having to wait. Like you kind of have to factor in the other person and consider the other person that you love. And for me, it just felt like that was the time to take it to this next level and start to actually build together. Yeah, but again, I think that it's been a blessing for me because the trajectory of my career has been, a lot of people kind of assume that, once you get married, everything just kind of goes away. But it's not been my story.
It's the opposite for you.
Yeah, it's not been the case for me.
It's very interesting that you said you were not even financially ready because the consensus a lot of people have is make money so that you can take care. Rabi?
Yeah. But there are levels to... Because
exactly. Financially ready for him might not be...
Not financially ready. That's a lot different than the average
person.
Actually,
that you said is true. To you, Alex, I asked him why are you... Why are you not married?
You want me to answer?
Yeah.
Or answer?
Answer.
Okay.
Whichever one is the truth.
Yeah, truth is good. I think I'm not married because I know too much.
What does that mean?
Oh, there you go. I feel like I'm about to enter a vortex.
You know, you have a number of people who say to you that they've been married for 20 years, 15 years, but if they didn't get married when they got married, they wouldn't be married. Have you heard that before?
Yes, I have.
Quite a number of people say that. It was I know for marry, right? Or
what do they say?
Where,
why do they say that?
So it's really a matter. It's a ton of things, and it varies with individuals. It might be how much as a man they've put into that marriage, or that commitment, or it could be trauma that they have been through that they feel they would have avoided or could have avoided if they were single. It could be just some people who went through the trauma of not wanting children or not understanding the what it takes to manage and groom kids. So it could be a ton of things. There's a long list of reasons why four different guys can be in a restaurant, and the four of them can have different reasons why they wouldn't marry if they hadn't married when they married.
So you're saying, so just so that I understand you, are you saying that you are not married because of your fear that some of these experiences might be what will happen to you, and that fear is then keeping you from making that decision? And will that always be? Is that so? In other words, do you never want to get married, or I'm just curious?
Banky, I don't think it is the word fear for me.
Okay,
it's the word worry. Unfortunately for me, I kind of worry too much. I mean, I know that everybody talks about, just go into it now. When you would, for every single step of the way, in that wedlock or that marriage or that commitment, you have the opportunity to learn. You have the opportunity
Which
to
is
build.
true.
You have the opportunity to be better. To be better versions of yourself as you go. But there's also a certain risk factor there, and that is, as you are willing to grow. What if you have a partner that is not willing to metamorphose in that same pattern, or even a complementary pattern, as to what you are doing? So those are the things that make me use the word worry. It's not like I haven't tried. I've gone close enough to get married, but that didn't happen.
What do you mean by close enough?
Got the rings.
Really? You propose?
I said I got the rings, Ebuka. Don't push this. I got the rings. Let's leave it there. Right?
Met families and all of that?
100%.
So what switched you off then? The worry? Or did you see signs of anything?
So we all see signs. We just decide which ones, like what they say now, the devil you know is better. We just decide which signs we can live with. And then there's something I say continuously. It's almost like a mantra. I look forward to misunderstandings, because if you love and respect each other, you would understand each other from the misunderstanding. So it's a learning process. But there are some people who will just constantly be stuck in their ways, either from what they know, from what they learned and from the past of their parents, or it's just who they are.
So I guess I'm trying to, because Ebuka asked, like, what switched you off? So was there a misunderstanding that kind of brought certain things to light and you were like, this is not going to work?
There was that.
If you don't mind,
there was that
asking.
And then there were also certain behavioral patterns that refused to change, and a few compromises that the other person refused to make at that point, and I was making the same compromises. And I thought, look, even if you don't give me back 50%, give me 20, give me 30, but that person refused to, at that point, see it.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't hold that person responsible for that. That's who they are. So,
not to be a therapist or diagnose or anything.
That's what you're doing, bro.
Because we've had conversations with guys here, out of here. We all have friends. And I know one thing I hear a lot from people is, a lot of the work starts with self. You have even said that. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, how much of this is you? Yes, she might have her own issues. But I hear you say worry, you've seen things from other people. Is it possible that, and I'm sure we know guys who say this, like, I don't know, I want to marry you. it's nice to make your own decisions without having to defer to anybody or anything. But I just wonder, how much of it do you think it's that worry hindering you as against whoever it is that has her own issues maybe, but do you ever think your own problem to decide?
There's something I said to Banky some time ago.
Yeah.
May have been today, may have been 3 days ago, may have been 10 days ago. But I said to him, we're not perfect. We're absolutely far from it. We're absolutely far from perfect. So whenever I bring up a conversation about issues in a commitment, I look at it from both ways. I tell you, in fact, I almost want to insist that you let me know what there are things that I feel are comfortable for you or things that you're accepting. But meanwhile, you're just accepting those things because of love or, you'd rather be with me than somebody else. So it's for clarity's sake, I always try to make it go beyond me. So as much as the worry, which is the question you asked, it can play a factor, it's not the determinant factor.
Yeah.
Although, to throw more light on that from another angle, you are the more important person in your relationship.
What does that mean?
You can't be there for the other person without knowing what you are, who you are, and how to.
Right. Facts. And I ask that because I'm trying to think back to before I got married, what even made me, decide it was time. And I think that's, first of all, one factor a lot of men.
Well, what made you decide it was
time?
time?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
But the first factor a lot of men go through is it's time. And I always wonder, why is it time? Is it age? Is it expectation from family and society? Or you've hit 30 or whatever it is, and you now start thinking, maybe you've been conditioned. Maybe I was. At the back of my head, I don't know. But for me, it was more, as cliche as it sounds, you meet this person and you kind of know that, first of all, I've always loved family. I mean, my family growing up, I loved what we had. And I knew that I always wanted to build my version of that in my head. I met the person who I felt, okay, we're on the same page on a lot of things. Our values align on so many levels. And maybe I'm not a warrior like you. I knew I had issues of my own, but I was also kind of clear on the fact that we'll work on things as we go along. And we have done that now we're in our 10th year of marriage. But I always wonder why is marriage important, right? And I'm looking at you.
Why is it important?
Because there are people he's here now, he's happy.
Yeah.
He's not married. I don't know if he's good or not.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
No, at the start, he said I'm good, so I'm going with that. I don't know if he's good for now, if he's good generally. So there are people like that, and it's people find it unconventional in this part, like, you're not going to marry, But I also wonder, is marriage that important? Other parts of the world, we're starting to see partnerships without necessarily going to that length. That's a form of relationship. Is there pressure to do that?
That's a very interesting question. I think there is a lot of pressure, especially in Nigerian or African societies. It's like, to a certain point, they're like, don't talk to girls, don't talk to boys. And then focus on school. Once you graduate, as soon as you graduate university, when are you marrying? As soon as you marry, when are you having children? As soon as you have the first child, when are you having the second? So there's always a new marker that society, families, and all of that put on young people to say, this is what you have to do. I think the marriage thing is interesting because I personally don't believe that marriage is for everybody. I think that there's you say what?
I'm joking. I said like Alex.
But we'll still work on Alex. But I think that marriage is not for everybody. There's a certain segment, especially maybe more so in our parents' generation, that marriage signifies success. And I think that it's false, because if marriage was the evidence that you are a successful, stable person, then technically Jesus Christ and the Apostle Paul were failures because they were never married. Jesus at least died young. Apostle Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament that most Christians quote, died a single man. So I don't think that marriage is an indication of success or purpose fulfillment. Now, I think that it is for some people, but in those in that group of people, there are people who are maybe worried, as Alex put it. There are people who are afraid. There are people who are dealing with trauma that won't let them heal and make it to the point of a relationship. But for those people for whom marriage is for, who you feel like, like yourself, I want to have a family one day. I want to have a happy, healthy, stable home. I want to have children with my spouse. I think it's important because I think that it's a key part of your destiny. It's a key part of you fulfilling purpose. It's a key part of you stepping into a place of happiness and fulfillment. I do know that far too many marriages end in divorce and end in animosity. But for the marriages that are able to make it, and I want to be clear, because there's a thought or a mindset that a marriage is something to endure. Whereas I believe, and I think everybody's goal, is that marriage is something that we enjoy. So for people who have gotten into that space, it is singularly the most fulfilling thing that you can do. It is also the best character building institution that exists on earth. Right. Because you have somebody...
You're going to learn.
Listen, if you have pride, you will be humbled by force. If you don't have empathy, you will learn it by force. Like, that's what marriage does. It breaks down your defenses. The idea of this is me, this is how I am, this is how I like things, all of that starts to whittle away, and you meet somebody who is worth fighting for and building for and improving for and becoming a better person for. And it's best when that person, kind of like what you were saying, where that person is also feeling the same. I don't know, Johnny, I don't know if I'm making
100%,
sense.
100%. And it's almost like I was just, my wife and I had like this fight the other day, and it was quite intense. And at the end of the day, after we made up, it just hit me like I'm leaving this conversation that we just had with like the new perspective of, I thought I knew you. I thought I knew like 100% of you, at least close to 100%. But like I'm figuring out stuff about you every day.
Yeah.
And I'm learning new things about myself every day as well. And just being better versions of ourselves for each other and vice versa. I think, it's marriage in itself, it's a beautiful thing, especially when two people that want to make it work come together to make it work.
Yeah. I was remembering when you said you and your wife had a fight, right? I was remembering an intense period. So everybody who's in a marriage or in a relationship, when the air is just thick, right? Like, maybe there's no, how are you? Fine. Are you okay? Yes. What's wrong? Nothing. When
once you start getting those water,
you're in a problem. So I've shared this story, elsewhere before, where there was this period where we were just, the air was just thick in the house. And, we weren't seeing eye to eye. There was tension, and it was a really crazy busy time in my life. I was running for office. I was running the company with Tunde. I was just doing a lot of things. And I was like, man, I'm doing all of these things, but I'm still trying to make you breakfast before I leave in the morning, take care of the groceries. Like, I'm an acts of service guy, right? So I'm trying to do all of these things while doing everything else. And the air was just thick. And I was like, so I woke up this morning and I could sense the air was still a little thick. And that's when you just get like a little, irritable and just frustrated that, you know what, I'm doing my best. When you're tired, you say you have all these conversations in your mind. When she's tired,
you'll snap out of it.
She'll snap out of it. I beg, I can't keep myself, right? So I'm getting ready. And I'm a spiritual person. So pardon me when I say that I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, well, you're speaking different languages. And I thought about it. So there's this idea of love languages, which we learned about in premarital counseling, right? So it's like the way that you show love and like to receive love and the way your partner does the same. So for Adesua, her love language is quality time and words of affirmation. Mine is acts of service and physical touch. And it just dawned on me that all of this time I was doing acts of service, acts of service, acts of service.
For yourself.
Because you don't realize that not only is your love language the way that you like to receive love, you actually also gain a measure of fulfillment by speaking your love language. So when I'm doing acts of service, remember when we're in the club, I'm the one that's pouring drink for everybody, organizing the table, there's the bathroom, do you need anything? I've always been an acts of service guy. So I gain fulfillment and pleasure from doing my love language. But marriage tells you that not only do you speak your love language, you have to learn what your partner's is and speak hers. And quality time was the one thing that I was unable to give her in that season. Because to her, subconsciously, it looked like, man, he has time for everything in the world but me. So I offed my tie, offed my shirt, canceled the first couple of meetings for the day, went back into the bed and just held my wife. And she just cried and held me. And that was the end of the tension. Yeah. And I think that that's what marriage does for us, is that it puts you in these positions to have to, like you said, learn who your partner is, learn who you are, and then work on your character enough, both of you doing that, where you come into something that you would never have gotten to on your own. It's character building. So the moral of the story is go.
I saw that.
I was going to say, but you can character build.
I'm kidding.
You can character build.
Don't let Alex run over you.
Alex is booting. He's going to finish you. Don't worry. I wanted to come to. I wanted to come to
I love you. I'm just teasing.
But maybe both of you actually, because you both are in the music space, or at least have been, and the three of you, this idea of the artist's life and what you see.
Yeah.
When you're on tour, when you're hanging out with your colleagues and all of that. And I wonder maybe what's that might have done to an Alex, for example, seeing that, okay, is commitment really commitment, right? Mm. And for someone like you, how do you handle being a husband, being a present husband, with the perception of what your job is? And for those who are in similar spaces who find it like, okay, can I really marry while I'm doing this? Like, how does that work?
First of all, I think that the merit of the music, in my experience, the merit of the music that I'm making should be enough to be able to sustain and keep a fan base. Of course, there is also the branding side where a lot of the fans might think of themselves. I mean, they say this all the time. If you're a male artist, a lot of your female fans think they'll probably end up with you at some point in life.
Absolutely.
And so, so it keeps them coming to your shows and but I also think that when you make music that is good, that is really good, and the core of your impact is on the music itself rather than say, the personality. I've tried as much as I can to be able to make, not to brag, but like make really good music, so that just that in itself is enough to keep you coming. I've never really branded myself as, the ladies' man or a sexy guy, even if I am.
Hey, speak on it.
But that's never been my thing. It's always been about the music. And I think the last 3, almost 4 years that I've been married, if you come to my shows, it's still the girls like in front. It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's very few boys and men there. They're always at the back. They're there, but they're always at the back. But even that is quite interesting because every time I go to my Spotify and I check male to female listeners, it's like 64% male.
Oh, we're listening.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And
we're playing it for our wives.
Maybe,
And our girlfriend.
Inclusion.
But I mean,
sorry, did you ever see that interview from the South African footballer?
Oh, yeah.
That was man of the match. And I want to thank my wife and my girlfriend.
And then he was like,
sorry. Sorry, go on.
I mean, it's for me, in my experience, it's I think the music's been good enough to just have them, to pull them in, and they keep coming. And I'm grateful for both my male and female fan base.
Does what you do affect your perception? Time, because you are very busy. You are touring, you're traveling, you are doing all of these things. Plus, you're seeing things. Did that affect subconsciously, maybe?
From personal point of view, negative.
Okay.
It didn't. And I say this because there are two key words I work with. I think I was even born that way. Responsibility and commitment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel responsible for a ton of things. One, the people that I work with, I feel responsible for them. If anything goes wrong, the blame comes on me. That's what I think. That's what I expect. Because when things go right, I expect to get the accolades also. So, however, based off of that, because they are my responsibility, I have to keep my eyes on the price every single time. So that way, I can't even afford these things I see to distract me in quote unquote. However, there's also commitment. If you are able to commit at work, you should be able to commit at home. So the exact same level or even more
would apply still.
Exactly. So your ability to do that without being pretentious at work is also your ability to commit to your relationship. When I was in a relationship, I know that the same person we were talking about, I know that there were times when she obviously brought up stuff and said, look, listen, Oga, I know you're touring. I know you're going to these places and those places, but you have to take out 2 days to come see me and stuff like that. And I said, okay, I'll try. But I kept going. And until she...
As in you kept going on tour?
I kept going, I kept working and not being able to make out that time. First of all, I didn't really know I could until I almost lost her. And then I said, wait, my friend calls me up and says, this is the main thing. And I said, you know what? First solution, I'll take her along with me. So the first thing I did was try to take her on a couple of gigs and work and all of that. And then when I'm doing emails, she's sitting down there and doing the emails with me. When I'm attending meetings, she goes to those meetings with me. She sits in the car or she enters the entire space with me. So we see these things, but it's a matter of how you are able to be responsible enough and then focus on your commitments.
I even wonder with you, I
was going to ask him a question. Are you comfortable with sharing your age? I'm just curious. You can say no.
So you don't have to say no. I'm not crazy about it or worried about it.
Okay.
Are you asking? Have you
asked? He doesn't want to say.
So my question is loaded because based on not only what you've achieved, but also your age, do you envision always being in this place? Do you like Ebuka want a family someday? Is that so, or are you just saying, at some point I'm just going to have kids? Or is that not even a priority at all to you? Like, what's the long-term outlook for you?
Okay, let me start from top. I just celebrated the 4th anniversary of my 40th. So
well put.
So yeah. So I don't consider time a factor.
Okay.
I've gone way beyond that.
Okay.
Because I can in the next 10 years meet somebody that, like Ebuka had mentioned, that maybe a few people ignored on this table, maybe a couple of people ignored, is the fact that there are partnerships that exist now that don't have to be marriage.
Okay.
And those partnerships can involve or include having the right person you're most comfortable with, you have that empathy with, you're able to grow with, you're able to mature with, and then just be with without being different versions of your original self. So if you're able to find that, there's nothing that holds you. So it can be next year, it can be in 10 years' time.
Okay.
But I am not looking. I'm not looking because I've sort of created some sort of barrier or barricade that says, look, listen, as it is, it seems like you've done much more and better by yourself. So if that person finds you, hopefully you can find yourself in that person also. So
you're open to it, but you're not looking for
100%.
I know for anybody who's watching, maybe you're not Nigerian or African, and wondering why we're pestering a 40-something-year-old man about marriage. Just like, he doesn't want it. That's what we do here. Nigerians are just known for...
We're supposed to be enlightening advanced people, and we're harassing our... We've been here for what? How long, guys? It's me. I'm the focal point.
It's cultural. I guess that's what this conversation is about. Yeah. This is what happens. And that's also leading to my next question. Alex, what do you tell people? Because I know Nigerians will come, you never marry. Is there pressure from family? How do you handle it? And I'm asking this because there are people who are watching who probably are like you. Banky said that marriage is not for everybody. And there's a lot of guys who don't want to get married.
Yeah.
But are considering it or trying to do it because there's pressure around them to do it. So I just wonder, is there an appropriate answer to uncles, parents, siblings, friends just society like this now that has been asking you. Like you said, we'll face you later.
No, just.
But how do you handle it in a country that its marriage is seen as such a fundamental part of growth?
I had a sit down with my cousins, family, couple of uncles earlier in the year. No, sorry, last year.
Okay.
And we spent about 4 hours going back and forth. Everybody with their own opinion about why you should get married.
4 hours?
Yes, about 4 hours. It was in the kitchen, and it was in the heart of London, and we just trashed it out. By the time we had gone to 2 hours, one of my uncles in that conversation, is a bishop, and so you can understand that he's fully 100% into the marriage conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept on insisting, Alex, before the end of the year, I will find you a wife. and by the time we were halfway done, the man said, I understand why you don't want to get married. Because I'd expressed it to him, that it's not like I'm looking at marriage as a priority of some sort, but if it comes, it comes. So yeah, the pressures are there. And I say are because, and I use pressures because it's coming from a ton of different people on different levels.
Yeah.
And even it's coming from me also.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes. So I am a relationship guy. I'm the guy who tells you stay in your relationship, fix it. I'm the fixer. I'm the guy who says, do this and do that. I told Ebuka about a group I had that I turned into a podcast of some sort. But it was about speaking to people about relationships with partners, in friendships, around work. I see myself as some sort of teacher who I constantly, as opposed to just telling you did something wrong, I'll scream at you, tell you did that thing wrong. But then I'll call you back and say, I'll spend 20 minutes teaching you how to fix, how to try to make it better. So for me, it's no matter the pressure, I feel like I pressure myself too, because in my mind, when I think about them, I think, okay, so I'm trying to fix these people and tell them to be in this relationship. Why can't I go ahead and get married? So sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, Alex, you should try and see if you can work this thing out. So go out and find somebody. By the time I get on the road and do some 5 emails and 10,000 meetings,
it's gone to lock your mind.
So
people have your answer. Stand your ground if you don't want it.
10 toes down.
I'm curious about this. We've had this, and it's one of the biggest contentions or talking points when men talk about relationships, the economic power balance for the man and the woman. And we've had a provider conversation where I'm ready to be provided for. I don't know about you guys, but how much does that factor in your marriage or your relationships before marriage?
Yeah.
And it was deciding to get married, like you said, which is very interesting. You didn't think you were even financially there yet.
Yeah.
What happens, God forbid, how does your ego handle a situation where you are no longer the provider or the prime provider in the relationship and, or you're still good, but then she has now become, a done dada. How does that work with your ego?
First of all, I think that a healthy amount of ego is good for every man. I think when it's overblown, when it's too big, too large, it becomes a problem. So for me, it's like right now as it is. So the way we run our home right now, it's not even a thing where we're thinking, oh, I'm putting in much more than you are, or you are bringing in too much more than I am. It's more, we want to keep this house running. We want to be able to take care of our daughter. So in this situation that we are in, you take charge of this. Like for example, I take care of the house. That's electricity, the cars, part of the feeding. My wife, she takes care of, the baby's feeding, the nanny. and a bunch of other stuff. So
it's kind of like nicely shared.
But again, I'm not saying we didn't just come and be like, you know what, this is what's going to be my
just
role,
kind of happened,
and this is your role. It just kind of naturally happened. And again, I'm saying that because we're not consciously thinking, oh, I'm bringing in too much. And I thank God, we're grateful to God that we're in a place where we're both doing well financially. But of course, I understand there's always going to be seasons in life where, you know, it's going to happen, where one person's probably going to be doing a lot better than, but I don't think it's ever going to be, oh, I feel like you're not bringing enough, or I feel like you're not bringing, we love each other. We're very considerate of each other. We don't have to think about those things too much. But I do remember even before getting married, just coming off of COVID 2020 and then into 2021, and you know, I had to get married, but I knew financially, like I didn't really have money at the time. Again, coming from COVID, not a lot of people were doing well at the time. And, you know, she brought in a lot more than I did to even making the wedding work.
Oh, nice.
You know, and that's the kind of person that my wife is. She's not going to be like, she didn't go like, oh, because you don't have as much right now, you're not, I'm going to love you less, or I don't see a life with you, right?
How did you feel about it, though?
How did I feel about it in the moment? I mean, again, that's what I say. There's a good healthy amount of ego is good, in the sense that it makes you know that I should be able to measure up to a certain level, right? If I don't have that sense of worth or sense of what I bring to the table, I'm gonna be I'm just gonna be dependent on, you know. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of men that are fine with, you know, getting taken. Because saying that just now, you know. But for me, I think why are you laughing?
Ebuka has an ideal sugar mommy in his mind.
I say that because, so, I mean, I know I joke a lot about, I would like to be a house husband, but to be fair, I mean, my house is kind of like yours, you know.
Yeah.
I do a big chunk of things, and my wife handles a lot of things as well, but it was kind of unspoken. We just kind of fell into certain, okay, this is what I do, and then she picks up a good chunk of things as well. But, you know, what you mentioned about this wedding and just how life runs, a lot of men are going through that, but they don't say it. That there's statistics and data that shows that a lot of homes, the moms are actually the breadwinners, but people don't ever talk about it enough, maybe. And you find that more than ever, it's because of the man's ego. Sometimes the wife even protects that information because they don't want their husband to be seen a certain way. I've seen situations where people go out, the wife slips her card to the husband so that he can pay. That happens.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the waiter to think, pay for me. I'm fine. But these are things that, you know, these are scenarios that happen a lot where this whole money thing, it feels like it's so fundamental to relationships.
Yeah.
Especially today where everything seems so transactional. When you just look at social media, it's about, oh, everybody talks about, what are you bringing to the table? This table. It's all about money. And that's why I was wondering, you know, it's interesting to just hear that, you know, in your situation, that happened, and so what?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's interesting. You brought up this thing, and I haven't really thought about it, but this thing about, you know, a wife or a girl, you know, slipping her card to the husband or the boyfriend to pay just so that he looks a certain way. It's rooted in this idealistic patriarchy mindset that we have. I don't know if you've noticed this, and my wife had to point this out to me for me to notice it, that if we're taking a walk on the road, you know, on the streets in Lagos, more often than not, they will greet me and not say a thing to my wife.
It takes being in a relationship or being married to find that out. You don't notice this.
I never noticed that. So I would now be like, you don't see my wife? You go greet my wife too. Or we would pull up somewhere, and wherever I'm sitting in the car, the security would rush to open the door for me.
The craziest one happened the other day with me, sorry.
Go ahead.
With same thing, got to a place. It was raining.
And they brought the umbrella
to me.
What?
Yes.
My wife was there.
Oh, wow.
And so when it happens, and so when my wife told me the thing about greeting, I now looked at it and I was like, oh, this thing is true.
Yeah.
So I
literally had to yell at again. I'm like,
exactly.
Me need umbrella.
I started being more intentional about saying, if you greet me, I don't greet my wife, I'll say, greet my madam. And even a thing where, you would hire staff, right? Maybe the staff in the house or, in the building or whatever. And they would always want to come to the man. So some Nigerian men have an issue reporting to a woman. Mm-hmm. So they would,
they would,
okay, I want to hear the story because they would, you have a question and maybe I've traveled or something. They'll be waiting to get a hold of me. Meanwhile, my wife is right there. So I started telling my wife, I'm like, listen, even if, we're putting one together, I'll say, you pay them. And I'll tell them, oh, I don't know, ask madam. Because I want to break that mindset that especially Nigerian men have to say, I can't answer to a woman or I can only speak to a guy. We had a chef once that it was almost like he would tweak, like his body would convulse.
To talk to your wife.
To talk to my wife or any woman, really, that we had in the vicinity. He was just always, he had this thing where he only answers to the men. Tell us the story.
So my wife, she got this driver very recently. So I wasn't around when she did the interview. So she had an interview with the guy. And she hired the guy eventually. So he works for a month, right? And then around the third week, my wife starts to notice that he's very he doesn't greet her, right? And then he's quite cold, when they're having any conversations whatsoever. So at the end of the month, my wife sends him his salary. And the next day, he doesn't show up to work, right? And my wife is waiting for him to come because she has to go to work, right? And then my wife calls him, he doesn't pick up. Calls him a couple times, he doesn't pick up. I call him, he picks up. I'm like, what's going on? We're waiting for you. And he says he's resigned. Okay, why are you resigning? He said, Madam doesn't talk to him well, right? So he says, Madam doesn't talk to him well. And then the other day, so my wife explains this thing to me. She was going to the gym and then from the gym she goes to work, right? So she's carrying both her work bag and her gym stuff on the other hand. And he's in the front seat already ready to drive. And she goes, you know, go open door for me. She said my hand full. And that upsets him. Right? I know that if that was me,
you wouldn't need to ask. You wouldn't even need to ask. He would have.
And that's just one. Then there's, for example, you've probably experienced this. When you go to a restaurant, for example, why is it that when you're done and they bring the bill,
straight to you?
They bring it straight to you.
Straight. They don't even ask. They go straight.
I think it's a cultural thing for us. And then a lot of people from the older generation, they were taught to think this way. Like the man is the alpha, is the head of, a lot of people feel like even women outside, they're not even their sisters or wives or whatever. They think they're heads over them, right? And women are, it's crazy out there. And I think it's a cultural thing.
I was going to ask you about the dating scene now, but you say you're not dating.
How
do you handle situations like, have you been in a relationship, for example, with a lady whose economic power is powerful? How do you handle that? But secondly, just the dating scene now and all these allegations of things being very transactional.
Oh, okay, well, I wanted to follow up with what he said, but let me go with that first.
Okay.
So, yes, I have been in the dating scene longer than some people that have been married or that are married.
You've gone through many generations.
Yes, 100%. So I know what's going on. And I've been there for long. In fact, I was in relationships, 2 major relationships for so long that I told people that there's no difference between them that are married and myself. It's a separate argument.
That is a separate.
He was about to go off.
It's a separate conversation.
No, please carry on.
Because the only difference is say we go church and court. Anyway, Banky, hold it. Breathe.
I'm thinking now.
Breathe.
Carry on.
Yeah. So
the floor is yours.
Yeah. So yes, I have been in situations where women that I know or have committed relationships with have had a ton of either monies that belong to them directly or monies that indirectly belong to them. And then there's also power.
Influence.
So
power.
yes, so there's all those things are put together. However, I still insist on 2 words when it comes to relationships, commitments, and marriages, and that is kindness and empathy. If you have that, there's almost no barricade or bridge or cloak of some sort that can look at that can cause you to at some point think that you are above your partner or that you're beneath your partner. What he has said is very key in the sense that a man needs a particular quantity or amount of ego, but it needs to be capped every morning when you wake up, just like you were saying. It needs to be capped because your ego could have kept you walking out of the door. That day you had to go back and hold your wife because that was also an ego conversation.
Yeah.
As much as we think we can try to be better versions of ourselves in a relationship, we also get to a point where, as a man, culturally, like he said, you're going to think, why? Why do I beg? She would do okay. And then so you don't go back to hug her, you don't go back to hold her. Yeah. Sometimes you have to just take a breather, think about it, and then move. So those things have happened where, fortunately or unfortunately, I think I stopped being broke a long time ago. So,
hallelujah.
So
such a thing to say.
Yeah. It's such a
on the public, you go drop today.
So I stopped being broke. Like Banky said, having money is relative. I can have $1 million in my account and I don't think I'm broke. Right? This very rich man beside me can have 250 million in his account. He's panicking already.
Yep.
That he's broke.
If Dangote,
he's not talking about hypothetically speaking.
Dangote wakes up with Burna Boy's money, he will be depressed.
My sentiments exactly. So my sentiments. Thank you for that. Before Ebuka pushes this conversation left.
Burna Boy, I'm just please, now just an illustration. I beg.
It's just
I beg. I know say you be giant.
Hypothetically speaking. So but because I have been in that situation, I've also been able to understand what it is to be comfortable, what it is not to be comfortable when you run out of cash sometimes. But what I always say to my partner is, we can't do this as individuals. What we come in to do, I always tell people, look, listen, you can decide to go into marriage for a ton of reasons. For a ton of reasons. Pressure from home, peer pressure, you thinking it's time, like Ebuka had said. But the main thing that you need to decide to do in that marriage is build an empire with your partner.
Well said. Well said.
If you do not plan to build an empire with your partner, you are set for failure. That's where I come from. And what I mean by failure is, no matter where you get, you can be much better together. Let me borrow from Neo. Neo said, I'm movement by myself, but when we're together, I don't know if anybody can finish it, but you can. So I'm a force.
A force.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a movement by myself, but we're a force when we're together.
Yeah.
So those things are things I move with. I believe that a man and a woman together, no matter what's going on, Ebuka will not agree because he wants to, be the taker.
I did not say that. I said I don't mind.
But however, if you do not spend nights together helping each other build each other's empire and bringing that together, then I'm sorry, I think you need to rethink. Because I know I have friends who say, I will never do business with my wife. I have a couple of friends who do not want to do business with their wife at all. I have no problem with that. Yeah. But when she brings home her business, are you sitting down there and helping her solve the issues? If you have the advantage of being good at building what do you call them, decks and all of that, are you helping your wife build a deck at 2 a.m.? If she has the ability to push some marketing conversations, are you willing to share that with her to help you push yours by throwing your ego away a little bit and then knowing how to build together? So for me, financial status of the individuals in a marriage should mean nothing in terms of a harmful or egotistical or demeaning nature at all. That's where I would say. So if you're going into that, go into it being completely kind, completely honest as much as you can, and then obviously committed.
We seem to have a lot of very understanding men on this table. and people who are able to check their egos. But the general perception, and I use general very strongly, is that Nigerian men are not that way. Nigerian men have an ego. Nigerian men want to flash the money. Nigerian men want to impress. Nigerian men want their wives, to walk into a room and be like, whoa, because of how much I've, done there. So how do you get to this point? First of all, is this the exception? I think that's the first question. Do you find that this is the exception? Is that general perception wrong? Is this the exception, or is this the general sort of vibe you think Nigerian men have? And if not, what are you guys doing different? Because I'm just wondering why there's a belief that we're that way, if I'm hearing all of this here.
Yeah. Banky, do you want to take
I like everybody's looking at everybody.
I'm honestly thinking about it, and I'm not sure that I have the answer to this.
Or is it shifting slowly and we don't know?
I think that it's shifting. I think it's nuanced. I think it depends on the circle that you are in. So I'm personally not surprised because we kind of move in some of the same circles. We have a lot of the same values.
Tentacles, sort of.
Yeah, we're kind of connected in that way. So in our circle of friends, I don't think that you will find the extreme kind of toxic masculinity, fully blown ego version of what you are referring to. But I think you are right in the sense that really does exist, and there's a large group of people that think that way. And as to how I got here, I think it's a mix of things. I think it's my upbringing with my parents. I think it's my spirituality with, just believing in Jesus and trying to understand what God says about certain things and trying to be the best version of myself for my relationship with God and my relationship with people. I think it's also the things that I've experienced or witnessed because, you can go through, we throw the word trauma around a lot. But, going through those kinds of rough experiences can actually push you to either extreme. So you can end up as a toxic masculinity, from the hurt that you've received or you've witnessed in your parents' home or whatever. Yeah. You can end up as a very toxic version or trying to fight back, or you can be somebody that looks at it and says, these are the red flags that I want to look out for. And if for instance, if I came from a broken home, then I already know what to watch out for so that I don't make those same mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or you can come from a broken home and then just repeat the cycle and just fall back into the same patterns of behavior. So I think for everybody, how we got there will look different because it's a mix of nature and nurture, environment and spirituality and personality and emotional intelligence. It's a mix of so many things.
And sometimes it's not even necessarily because I'm just thinking of my own. I think a lot of it came from my home. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that my parents were intentional about trying to instill anything. Mm-hmm. But like I've said on this show, my dad is very traditional, very conservative. Igbo chief. All right. Mm-hmm. Worked with the central bank. So he was good enough to take care of everything. Mm-hmm. But my wife was a nurse. Well, my mom was a nurse, I beg your pardon. Matron in a very big hospital. And he was still okay with, you do this. Yeah. You do this. Yeah. And I saw that growing up. Honestly, for a long time after I grew up, it was very weird to me when I would hear people say things like, a woman's place. Mm. It was honestly very strange, man. This was someone born in the 80s. Mm. Because my mom went to work. Sometimes came back after my dad. You know how hospitals work. Mm. So I grew up knowing that, everybody does their bits. Mm. And then I started hearing a woman's place is in the kitchen, or it was very strange.
Which is ironic because most of the chef world is actually dominated by men.
So I guess, but I don't know, it just happened. And it just was there. So maybe that's why I've never been threatened by whatever it is, whatever circumstance I find myself in with a girlfriend or my wife now. It's just, you're bringing in, why not? It's what should happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to pivot a bit to something completely off. So I did a poll on social media a few days ago about what people look out for when they're choosing a partner. Okay. What men look out for, not people. What's the most important to you when finding a partner? So physical appearance, income, personality, faith and values. What do you think had the most?
Income.
You think income?
I think
For men choosing a partner, I think income would be last.
You think income? What do you think
No,
was
I'm
first?
thinking as Twitter people.
Oh, you think
This was Instagram.
Oh, this was okay.
Instagram, they
You
do
changed
something.
I have to think that again.
Depending on the
because Twitter
platform,
is different.
it's a
Tell me.
different world.
So physical appearance, income, her personality, her faith and values.
Oh, for the man.
Yeah, what do men look out for?
You did a poll. Are you asking us to?
Yeah, what do you
To
think?
guess
What do we think that was?
So physical appearance.
Physical
Income.
appearance, her income, her personality, her faith and values.
I think
I would guess that they would
personality?
say physical appearance and personality would be like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then faith and values would be after that. And then income would be last. And that's my guess of what they would say. I don't know.
Do you agree?
I am with Banky, but I'll bring personal income back up. Yeah, because I think that's what they would say.
Okay.
But I would also take value a little bit, maybe a notch higher.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. It's
What did you say again?
So I think
Knowing that it's no longer Twitter, it's Instagram.
I think personality.
Instagram.
Yes, it
Oh
is.
wait, I might change.
I think
I might bring
personality
faith.
first,
Okay.
then values second, going in line with it. And then third, probably income.
Okay.
Now, what's the last one again?
Physical appearance.
Actually, physical appearance and then income.
I'm gonna say,
So you think men would choose all these over physical appearance?
I think income is probably last.
So I think you also have to differentiate between choosing a partner to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah, that's what I asked,
And
basically.
just,
A
you know,
long-term
just,
partner, yes.
linking up for linking up's sake.
Yeah.
I think for long term,
It's the standards are different.
yes. So it would be
Which we'll get to now. Why are the
it
standards
would be
different?
personality and faith and values,
Okay.
physical appearance, and then income. But
Income was actually,
consistently, income will be last.
income was actually last.
Always.
4%.
Always, yeah.
Second last was physical appearance with just 6%. I don't know that I believe that, but
Yes.
we'll leave it at that. Number one was actually personality. 55,
Personality, that's what I said.
55% said
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
And when I was done with the polling, actually, yesterday, and I said, I should have done one for girlfriend because of what you said
Yes,
now.
there's a difference.
And I said that because I had gone on Twitter and I saw one of those debates again. Oh, why do people, don't wife a girlfriend or don't wife a, they have all these things where don't wife a girl from the streets. All of this talk, basically, who you're dating in your wild era, do not make her a wife. And I guess my question is, why does the rule change suddenly? Why can't you date who you want to marry? Or in your wild era, why are there different sort of expectations?
I think it's called young and free for a reason.
Young and-
young and free. I feel like a lot of people,
So at that point, personality doesn't matter.
a lot of people want to explore. At least that's what I think. That's not my view, but I think a lot of people want to be free and try out everything, right?
Because
So
let's say
the
this
bar
is
is pretty low. Nobody's really thinking, critical long term. So the bar is pretty low for they just want to have fun. So anything like kind of just goes.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I think people probably think.
I like this chick.
It's funny how values keep dropping every single generation. We forget that people used to be betrothed to other people. Our grandparents and parents got married at 19, 24.
Yeah.
So where is the time that you're saying that you want to first of all...
Look at you now. You have time.
Excuse me, Ebuka.
Wow, shots fired.
You're lucky I'm sitting.
Far from me.
Yes. So my point is, and I'll give you a very, very good example. When I dated in uni, I dated for 5 years. Same person. Right? And it had its ups and downs. It was almost like a marriage. We had anniversaries. Right? So for me, what I'm saying...
So you've always dated for...
Yes. I've always... Look, and that's the point. That's why I was shaking my head when you were saying what you're saying. It's the values the essence of these relationships have dropped or in terms of value for so long, which is why for me, value was key. I say that because if you know you want to play around, why do you need a girlfriend to play around?
It's also, you're also 21. You're not necessarily clear-eyed.
Yes,
you're 19. It's just like, okay, this girl is a body.
I totally agree.
And how
with
would I
you.
look being beside her? That's what value to you looks at that.
Yes, I totally agree with you. So if you do that, right? Okay, so first things first. Ebuka, I don't value for me at 21 was not that. Value for me was at 21 was that girl. I need to get close to her to either find out her value. If I can't teach her to increase the levels at which her value exists, I can decide that that's not the person for.
At 21, you were that deep?
She's not the person for me. So, and I said this. I've been a businessman since my mother, while I was inside my mother's stomach, and I say that because you have to build. It's a constant. We live to build, and we've mentioned Dangote. You've mentioned Otedola. These men, even if I don't know when they got married, but I'm sure at some point they focused. Whether I was 21, whether I was 27, who decides? These days, or even then, the average 21-year-old was doing much more than the average 30-year-old now.
Sure.
So then they left school earlier. They got into school earlier, left school earlier. They began to focus. They went to universities much, much earlier. So they were serious then. What they did in uni in terms of the 21-year-old conversation where you're saying that's a baddie, let's play around. A ton of them did get married whilst trying to date that baddie. So they either married the baddie or found someone else and moved on straight.
But there's also, sorry to cut you in there, because the world has shifted dramatically. And I'm talking from an economic perspective.
Okay.
So just to buttress your points, are we saying that the way the world is now is also playing a role in how men approach commitment, right? Our fathers bought homes for 20,000 naira with government subsidies, whatever it was. You know what I mean? They all got free education. You came out, if you had a degree, you got a job instantly. So there's also those factors. So I'm just wondering, is that your point that, yes, then we're not as focused as before, but isn't it because the world is in a different place now where the economy of basically every country is going through it, and it affects how men now approach commitment?
And so let's tie that into what started this conversation. Yeah. Does that mean that the person has to be unserious? Does that mean that the person...
Yeah, because at that time now, I can't go far. Let me just enjoy myself. This is me just speaking hypothetically.
No, but that's exactly what Johnny is doing, though. Yeah. Johnny is doing it the right way.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Right.
So you said, in college you had a 5-year relationship. What's the longest, or what are your maybe top 3 longest
timelines
that you've had? Longest?
Has it had 3?
5 years and 4 years.
5 years and 4 years.
5 years and 4 years.
Okay. There are some people, not me, but some people would say that there's a certain amount of time that you date a woman, and if you stay for so long and then decide that
you're not doing it
again, that it's unfair to the woman. What do you think about it?
As a man or as a woman?
Well, you can answer from both perspectives.
Exactly. So because there are two parts here. Because they may have...
Because I've seen that where, two people date for 6, 7, 8 years. Maybe 5 years may not be quite getting to that territory. But, people date for 6, 7, 8 years or longer and then say, this is not my wife and I'm moving on.
Well, you know that sometimes in these relationships we're talking about, like the way Johnny just said that he had a huge fight with his wife. One of the core differences in terms of relationship issues when you're married, either married or single, is the fact that when you're single and you fight, you can go home.
Exactly.
You can just get out of the house and go to your parents or go somewhere and say, look, listen, I don't want to see you for the rest of my life. And then after 2 weeks, you're
block each other.
Yeah, you're blocking each other. After 2 weeks, I'm even talking about when there's no social media. After 2 weeks, you're talking about, I kind of miss him. I kind of miss her. And then you have the opportunity to probably just see each other again. The essence, what happens in that time when you missed each other is cravings, it's the need to see each other, it's the need to speak to each other. So that sort of, by the time you come back, you sort of start all over again. So to answer your question, the ton of relationships had a lot of that, not marriages. So you had situations where you can say you were in a relationship for 7 years, but technically you were in that relationship for 3.5.
Because there were periods in
between when you separated for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months here, and then, so that sort of made things last longer. Okay. There are people who have gone into being in relationships for 5 years or 6 years, got married and separated after 2 years.
Right, yes, absolutely. So I think, for me, there's something that I'm trying to... So it's very interesting hearing you, because we've spoken about a lot of things. We never really talked about relationships and marriages. So it's very enlightening for me to learn this side of you, and you're somebody that I respect and I really admire the things that you've done.
It's mutual.
And I think that in hearing you speak about this, you're very self-aware, you're very measured, you're very knowledgeable and, about all of these things and about yourself. I think the point that I'm trying to get to is that it's very possible for two good people to end up in a bad marriage, where it's not like they're bad. One person is good and trying and the other person is terrible, but they're both good people and they just are not able to see eye to eye to work things out. It's also possible for two good people who are not in a marriage, who have dated for a long time, but because they're not in a marriage, they don't bother trying to fix the things that they need to fix to make that relationship last.
Okay.
And I think that, or do you think that not being in a marriage then gives you an out to say, instead of saying, we had a fight, what do I need to do to be better? What does she need to do? How do we fix this? Because marriage is a covenant, right? That requires that you let go of your rights to be right and pick up your responsibility to work. So I think that that's one of the positives of marriage is when you find somebody worth doing that for, because you will always have something. I mean, we're all married. I mean, the three of us are married. There will be things that you won't see eye to eye on. You'll have moments of intense conversations. But that love is a choice to say, this is who I'm going to do my life with. And so we're going to find a way to make this work. Whereas if you don't find somebody, and maybe you just haven't found somebody, and that's okay too. But if you don't make that decision, you'll never put yourself in a position to do that work, to build something. As you say, because the point is to build something, is to build an empire, is to be bigger and better together. But if you don't ever take the risk to be vulnerable enough with somebody to make that call and go down that path of building, then you'll never be in that position, and it'll always be because you've given yourself an out.
So are you saying that marriage is the risk you need to take to be able to...
I'm saying that marriage is absolutely risky. You're tying your life with somebody.
But what I'm saying is, are you saying that you can't do that in a relationship?
I'm saying that
you can't go that far in a relationship.
I want to cage this by saying, obviously, everybody knows I'm a spiritual guy, I'm a man of faith, so my views are shaped by my faith to a certain degree, or to a significant degree. I am saying that even though you can, and you have worked on your character and all of that, but you may be, or are you keeping yourself away from this because of this worry or fear, or however you want to put it, and keeping yourself from taking the risk and being vulnerable enough to go through this with somebody permanently? Because when you don't do it within the covenant of a marriage, you always have an easy out. And so the girl who you dated in university, I don't know her, but if you dated somebody for 5 years, she might have been a pretty great girl.
100%.
And maybe if you had taken the risk to say, hey, let's, and I'm not saying let's settle for red flags, but if you've been with somebody for a very long period of time, you kind of know who you're dealing with.
Okay.
So maybe you find somebody who's worth fighting for and building with, and then you work out the things, because, man, I can share a million stories of just character flaws on both sides of the aisle that you work out in the process of being within a committed marriage. And the marriages that don't make it, we talked about this the other day, the marriages that don't make it because of that lack of commitment. ironically, it's not finances. It's not even infidelity. Because infidelity is a fruit. It's usually not. It's lack of commitment. It's lack of saying, man, we're all in on this together. There was a time my wife and I had an issue. And, my male ego was rearing his ugly head. And I was acting up and I was being just not great. And she had to pull me aside and say, Banky, this is not a me versus you thing. It's us versus this problem.
Situation.
What's what we're fighting about? I've heard somebody once say that you almost have to treat the marriage like a separate entity and say, because of the sake of the entity, we're going to find a way.
But I want to ask you a question, though.
Yes,
it's
please.
easy for you to say.
It's not easy. This is not easy at all.
No, wait. Thank you for saying that, actually,
Okay.
because that goes to my second point. But it's easy for you to say because you have a wife who had enough empathy to do that, to pull you, and had the right foresight to pull you back and say, look, listen, bro, this is not about you, it's not about me. Let's do this.
Yeah.
There are some people, male or female, that would just leave you.
Yeah.
To be stuck there, right? And then that
Which is why those marriages fail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's commitment facts, but there's also the empathy conversation, and then the blessing of a person who is able to do that. And I said something earlier. Sorry, I said there's give and there's take. So if you are giving, the marriages will collapse because one person is giving, the other person is not giving as much, and then maybe that person gets tired of
Emotionally.
giving. Yeah. So all of that goes into play when we move with all these things. But the truth is, there are also people who have gone into committed relationships or marriages, and then as much as they constantly wake up in the morning to find their partner, to be able to get through to their partner, that there's always a block, there's always a wall, right? And that person gives up one day. What happens when that person leaves that marriage? How is the person able to move into another marriage? Because I constantly say marriage is not a death sentence.
No, it's not. It should not be.
You constantly have to, learn, so there are people who have left marriages and come back together and stayed forever.
Yeah.
So like Ebuka had said, maybe those people got married when they were 21, 25, or in their youthful, exorbitant time. And then by the time they realized that they needed to learn, or they had learned, they couldn't be with anybody else but that same person they had been with, because the values of that person remained, or they saw themselves building empires or children or a family together with that person. So the truth is, it varies. It's you can't tell somebody it's one particular thing, but you can tell about 6 or 7 different stories, and one person can take out of one story or 2 stories and sort of invest in that. Before we move, if I may, there was a part where we skipped. We ignored, or not ignored, we didn't touch the part about the gate man opening or the security guy opening the doors. We forget that it is deep. And Ebuka actually mentioned it, but indirectly, it's the power of emulation. So emulation.
Okay.
What these people know is culture. It's what they've seen their parents do, their uncles do. So their parents their mothers who unconsciously do not make sure that their sons are able to be part of what goes on in the kitchen, be part of domestic duties, take care of the sisters in a particular way, because she assumes Popsy is your dad is going to make you do that. Or you might as well just do it, figure it out as a man. But these things need to be taught to men as they are boys. And even if they're not taught directly, we need to also, as couples, as parents, manage what we say in front of the kids.
So you don't think gender roles are a thing? I just opened a different topic.
Okay. Gender roles are obviously by default a thing, but it takes 2, right? So let me speak to the single mother. A single mother, will argue with you till tomorrow that she's playing the role of 2 people.
Yeah,
she'll tell you that because if the dad is not there, she has to assume the position. There are women who have the state of mind that I don't need to bring another man into this boy's life or this this daughter's life,
So
this
I'm gonna
girl's
do it
life.
all on my
So
own.
let me do it on my own
And there
to
are men,
protect the child.
Hermes, yes,
Yeah.
the
And
other
there are
day.
men who too.
Yeah, and then there are men who are like that too. The main thing is they want to protect the peace, they want to protect the child, and they believe that the child has attached to them so much that they can grow that. So gender roles, as important as it is,
It's a social construct.
I think somebody said that. Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, anyway, we're just going to wrap up very quickly because what I find when I have these conversations, maybe I'm in a bubble with the kind of circle I have, is that there's a lot more nuance to this thing like we've seen here. I think what's happened, honestly, in the last couple of years, decades, is that feminism came, which is a fair thing, right? Then the pushback started from men because they saw feminism as this thing trying to change what the dynamic is supposed to be. And there's now these extremes on both sides. And their voices are the loudest. So you go on social media and everything there's no gray area. Yeah. It's like you're either solidly on this side or you're not a man. Is the way it's become. Meanwhile, I find that more men than people are willing to admit understand that these things are not there. What do you think of Temi Otedola taking her husband's name on the day of the wedding and changing it on social media? Because it just came to mind now because it was a whole debate on Twitter that day, and it was literally men versus women. Yeah. That was what it looked like. Yeah. A lot of women were upset with her. A lot of guys were like, okay, don't take my name now. You're going to go back to your father's house. So it was like there was no middle ground almost to this.
Again, exactly what you said. It's everyone's different. Every girl is not the same girl. Like, for example, my wife, she's an only child, right? So when we got married, she did take on my name, but she also kept her Tahini name, right? Because she's an only child and she wanted to keep that going, right? So again, it's different for everyone. And I was perfectly fine with that. I didn't think, because you can't have your name, it has to be Rima Igodaro, no in between or whatever. And I was fine with that because, for me, like it's not going to change how I feel about her or how I feel about marriage or make me love her less. And for Temi Otedola, it was her choice. And
Temi Ajibade.
Yeah, a lot of people expect that, because she's from a successful family, rich family. A lot of people, again, my sentiment is a lot of people probably think, Mr. Easy, it's not from a rich family. Yeah. He had to do this. He married into a rich family. Why all of a sudden is Temi taking? And Mr. Easy, it's a successful man in his own right.
Very successful.
Very successful. And it was Temi's choice to do that. And it's nobody's business.
And that is actually, like you said, what feminism is. It's the ability of the woman to decide
what
she wants to do.
What she wants to do.
Yes. And it should be nobody's business.
I know multiple friends of mine who their wives have never changed their names.
Yeah.
And they have been married for decades and nobody's complaining. So, but these extremes in these conversations makes everything just extra amplified for no reason. But thanks, guys, for being open and honest. And I'm very happy with Alex's conversation today more than anything, because I think there's a lot of people like him who are very self-aware. And I think that's what I've gotten from you today. That I'm self-aware and I know what I want. I know what works for me. And the people like that, it doesn't make you any less of a man. Absolutely. As much as we want to tie masculinity to marriage. But at the same time, we also have a representation here of I'm happily married and my wife and I are doing this together. It's not a single provider situation where I have to carry the load.
We have multiple representations of that.
Actually. Yes, to be fair. I've been married for 10 years, like I said, and it's a learning process every single day. And, marrying my friend, marrying someone who calls you out when you need to be called out, but at the same time is a partner, I think is what it ultimately is. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If it is for you, then take the deep dive and enjoy. Like I said on my shirt.
Can't spell romance without man.
And on that note, we run this. Wow. On that note, if you think we've been just talking crap here, If you think Alex is just yarning dust or Johnny Drille made no sense, let us know.
Drag them in the comments.
Let us know in the comments what you think about all we've had to. You can even drag me, it's fine. What you think in the comment section, and of course share with your friends, male or female, because everybody has a perspective on these conversations. And enjoy. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, water.
Well, I've been doing this
That's
all.
okay.
Bad luck, but we'll manage.
Bad luck. We'll live. We'll overcome.
Nice.
You've been tuned into Mentality with me, Ebuka, and my co-host, Banky W. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please make sure to rate, review, and follow Mentality with Ebuka wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time.